We are just chatting here, sir. Sorry.
No, you're good. All right, guys, it is Monday, May 22nd, 6:15. We'll call this meeting to order. Considerations for the minutes of April's meeting. Everybody get a copy of that and get a chance to read over it?
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All right, Mr. Rob, what do we have in financial reports?
One thing we got here, actually, I can't say no change from last month because we do have a small change.
Rob, if you get
Yeah.
your microphone
No, I don't. I do now. Can you hear me? Yeah. Sorry about that. Our balance on hand, revenue over expenditures, has increased $15.73 over what we had at the end of March.
Do you have that overall total?
$9,634.98.
Thank you. In that, do we have, is that changed just from the farmer's market and maybe some expenditures going out, or, okay,
Yeah, every time we have a farmer's market, the next day I'm making a small deposit to the DDA account.
okay,
So
perfect,
tomorrow or the next day, sometime there'll be another small deposit.
okay.
So that's what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
They're like 200 vendor fees and things like that. So I just take it to the bank. I've got one teller in there that knows how to find the account, so, because I don't have the account number. She's figured out where to find it, so I just go in there and see her and make the deposit. So there'll be another one this week.
Okay. That was the only change, Andy.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Moving on to number 4, which is board applications. We did receive 2 applications. Ms. Barbara Daniel is here. And then the second application we got in this morning, Mr. Rickman's out of town. So if anyone has any questions for Ms. Barbara,
Yes, Barbara, if you can come up here. I asked Barbara to be here so that you could go ahead and interview her, ask her some questions about her background. I asked Michael to come, but he was out of state and could not be here. That was the application I sent in to you today. He too is very interested in serving on the DDA. Okay.
all right, Ms. Barbara, it showed that you had served for some other committees or boards around town with that. This is your first opportunity with DDA that you've, okay, so you've never been on DDA
Yes.
before? Perfect. And you live here locally and have been for quite some time?
Yes. Well, really, you probably need to take 10 years off that because I forgot I moved to Florida for 10 years. But I immediately came back.
We won't hold it against you.
Yeah, I've been here a long time.
Okay. Your interest for DDA, what do you see as a benefit that you could bring to the board?
Well, let's see. When I was hired by the city, I worked for the city for 10 years.
Okay.
I was hired to do Main Street, downtown development, and tourism.
Okay.
I was charged when I got here to get a Main Street designation, which we needed for DDA and all of that. And so I got the Main Street designation. Having lived here, having gone to school here, I feel like I'm vested in this city because I've watched it grow and how it changes, some for the good, some for the bad. And I just want good for downtown. Also, while I was on that committee, I was on Historic Preservation Commission. We helped to actually draw up some of the guidelines for what is now the Historic Preservation Commission. I did that with 2 other ladies that live locally. And one of my goals when I first came to the city is I wanted an amphitheater in downtown Villa Rica. And I searched and searched and found money that we were fixing to lose, and so that's why you have that over there.
That's great.
And I don't take all the credit for that. I had 2 other ladies helping me with that, so, you know, I don't want to take all the credit. But we need some revitalization in downtown. Our downtown is becoming an office building downtown. And it's hard on those who are retail because we're getting so many offices. And I think we need to work on publicizing when something is vacant on a website. You know, when I did do downtown development, Main Street and all, I had a separate web page just for downtown. And when there was an empty building, it was posted. It had the square footage. It had how many bathrooms, you know, and who to contact about renting it. And I think that is something that we need to start doing again.
It's a good idea.
I don't know, David Mike can speak for me. We were partners for a long time. Worked with him a good bit when I worked with the city, but yeah, I just, you know, there really wasn't a Main Street when I came here.
Yeah.
There really wasn't much of anything when I came here. And I'm not saying I did all this by myself. It was a group effort. Our Main Street committee created the walkway over there, you know, and I just want to see our downtown thrive. I want to see new businesses coming in and more retail and more restaurants coming into downtown. I don't know, what is that enough background?
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. Anybody else have any questions specific?
No, but I mean, she said she wanted to see it revitalized, and she just there at the end kind of said what she wanted to see. That's what I was curious about, is what do you want it to look like, so.
Yeah.
And so restaurants and retail, that kind of
Well,
stuff.
I want it to be more walkable. I mean, it is kind of walkable right now, but the only thing to really walk and enjoy is on this side of the street. I mean, you know, there's nothing really, except maybe, you know, breakfast at a little restaurant across the street. They have good breakfast.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, cohesion between the two sides is not, and we've lost a lot of retail on that side as well, so.
yeah. Yeah. And that takes work from a group of people
Yep.
to, when something comes available, to research and see if somebody's looking for something.
Yep. Any other questions?
I
None
don't
for
have,
me.
Ms. Barber, thank you for your time. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Gosh, I haven't even got my breath yet, and I gotta walk.
Come on, you can do
Okay,
it.
if you drive by and you see me, pick me up.
Well, don't stop at Hickstown now if you run out of breath.
Oh, no. I'm not a beer drinker. Thank you.
I thought we had one. Do we have two?
Andy's position.
I'm on borrowed time right now.
He has resigned.
That's right.
I expired in March.
So we have two. Okay.
We were just discussing how many vacancies we had.
We do have that vacancy list on our Downtown Billerica website, but that is a website that I cannot edit.
Oh,
and
sorry,
work
we're talking
on.
about two vacancy
Yeah.
differences. We're talking about board vacancies.
Okay, but I just wanted to let you know it is there, but the city is planning on getting a new website, which I want to do away with that website. It's complicated. We had to hire a particular person to work on it for us.
Yeah.
And I cannot stand that website, so, but I will go into the city's website and make sure it's there. I just want to tell you that.
Okay.
Y'all want to vote on her, or are you going to wait, or?
I know Barbara well, and I'm really impressed with Michael Rickman and how he's been involved with the city and wants to do more. So I don't have a problem recommending that we vote to recommend to the city council both of these people be brought onto the Downtown Development Authority Board.
Because we have one vacancy, but.
Two.
Two.
I'm on borrowed time.
His
expired
term
in May, or
expired,
March.
and he
Yes.
was only going to serve a couple of months to help us transition.
Okay.
I think it's perfect timing. I agree. Do you want to make a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Okay, the council won't meet in June, so we'll have to take them in July.
Okay.
So do we need, Andy, your agreement to continue for a few more months?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put a necessary date on it. I'm good
Okay.
to go until we can get them approved, and once we get them approved, we're that.
Okay.
But we can talk about that after we get down to number 6 in a moment too, so.
Okay.
All right, so we've got the motion to approve those 2 applications, and that was good. So moving on down to number 5, the Gateway signage contract.
Yes, last month I gave you all an update on the Gateway signage, the project that's been around since 2017, that we were going to wait on the final design for the rebranding of the city, which should be done by October 1st. Well, in the meantime, ACSM Company, they're out of Charlotte, North Carolina, they're the ones that actually won that bid when it was bid out back in 2017. They have come back with a contract, and of course, this is between the CVB, I brought the wrong contract, but anyway, it's between the CVB and DDA. So I wanted to give you all an update on this. The CVB board, that's the tourism part of it. They met on Thursday, April 20th, to discuss the contract, and they are in favor of it. So the original design, the bid came in at 70-something thousand, $76,372. Well, our department took a look at that particular design and decided we needed an updated signage. It was over 5 years old and felt like it really didn't fit for what we're wanting to see in downtown. Well, because it's been 5 years and some of the markups that we've gotten from this company, we went out and looked at designs from other cities, and these are fresh new designs in the last couple of years. Sent Glenn a copy of all these designs, and they sent us back a markup, which are very nice, but they are like triple the size of what that original sign was, and it's been 5 years later, so cost has gone up. So one of the designs I liked, some of them like the other designs, but whatever, we're not picking out a final design until that rebranding comes. If we pick out one of those 4 designs, we might want to incorporate what the rebranding is. If it's a new seal, the coloring, we're looking at changing the city colors from purple and gold to maybe some type of blue or gold, or just for an example. So the cost on that signage, and this is the directional signage also called wayfinding. It's City of Bowden has it. I can't remember if Carrollton does, but it's a pole that's got these places pointing to where things are. That's your directional signage, and this is what's in this contract. So they have presented us a contract, and this was discussed when our previous events manager was here. I was not in on that discussion, and they came up with a budget for this project not to exceed $200,000. $63,500 has already been paid against this project, so it won't exceed 200, but there again, it's going to be depending on what design we pick out, how big it is, what the cost is. So it may not be anywhere near 200, but what he discussed with Janet was just to throw out a number that would cover everything. Okay, the final design, like I said, will be chosen. The CVB board are the ones that have approved it according to this contract. The CVB board, say it was $200,000, they would contribute $157,000 of the cost, which they do have the money. The DDA will contribute $43,000. That's if the budget, if it goes up to $200,000. If it's much less than that, it'll be less than that. This includes 4 gateway signs, 12 wayfinding signs, 4 kiosks, and 9 parking signs. This was what was requested in the very first bid 5 years ago. Well, 6 years ago now. It's been 6 years. The budget is maximized to provide as many signs as possible to fulfill the original scope, with the new designs dictating the quantities. We feel it will allow at minimum for all the signage, the wayfinding signage, to complete in this first phase. So I'm bringing you all the contract as well to see what you think about it. If you all approve this, then it was a contract that the DDA signs, and along with the CVB board, and they are meeting on Thursday, and they are ready to sign off on it. So that means the DDA would need to pay additional money on this. But I don't know, right now it's $43,000. But if it goes to $200,000, is that making sense, David? Am I explaining this correctly? I brought Sarah here, where she comes anyway, but just for the finance side, so she can talk to you the money if you're questioning where the money's coming from because of the DDA's funds. I think we've got, 50-something thousand
Yeah, that's
in
exactly
the
the
checking
question I
account?
was gonna ask.
$58,000 in the checking account.
And we owe the city 49,000 of that for Butterball and something to do with Arbor Homes, I think. We've got a
It's just-
$49,000 liability
You
due to
wanna
the city right now.
Talk about that.
The liability you're referring to was $50,000. It was even before my time, and I've been here 7.5 years. So I'm not entirely sure. I could go back and find out what the original $50,000 debt was for, and then we took $1,000 billboard payment and applied it to that. So that's why it's at $49,000. But that's part of that revolving loan, or revolving fund, I should say. The city has set aside $250,000 for DDA and $250,000 for the Development Authority for those two entities to use. One question I had when you were talking, Elisa, the money that the DDA has already paid towards the signs, do you know?
Then that exceeds tremendously the 200. I mean, that should already be our part of 47. That's what I was
That's
going
what
to
I-
question as
If
well.
if
We've already paid
63,000
63,
That
then we've
leaves
exceeded our
137
47.
maximum.
Yeah.
See, I'm not sure where the 43,000 came from. I was not in that discussion.
Yeah,
If that was just, is that like, I didn't use a calculator.
and that 43,000 is not reflected in our financial statement. If we paid it,
Well, we just paid 25 we just wrote the check for to finish out.
29,802.
30,000 was the last
Yeah,
payment.
Okay, yeah, we just paid 30,000 to somebody for what I thought
Yeah.
was the sign. Can I ask a question while y'all are looking at that? We've been talking about this gateway signage for how long? And this is the first that I'm hearing of 200,000 and all this stuff. I thought the signage was the 4 signs, and like, I have not heard anything to the 200,000 mark, or we just gave them a blank check for that. I wish
that's
my
what I-
vendors would just tell me I
This,
can spend up
this
to
just came
200,000.
up, after she left, it was forwarded to me and, no, wait a minute. He had discussion with her before she left, and probably about a month ago is when he asked me about the contract, and I said, what contract?
Okay.
So
That-
he-
I mean, it's news to,
I said, what
I
are you
would say
talking
all of
about?
us,
He
because
said,
we haven't
"The
talked about it.
Contract I discussed, and I said, send it to me. So that was
Before I vote on something like that, I think I'd like to see the contract.
Exactly.
did I not send it to you?
Uh-uh.
I thought I sent it to you in an email.
No, I
Did
don't-
I not?
I
I
don't think
didn't
so.
It wasn't, the only thing we got were two board applications in the agenda.
Okay, because I'm so sorry, because I had the signatures retyped on there, and he sent it to me, and I thought I forwarded it to you all, but I guess I failed to do that.
Well, I'm like Andy, my question to a certain extent, because I'm just totally confused now. I mean,
I'm right
there with
we've, I've looked at 40-something thousand dollars that went somewhere, and another 30,000, and another, and then you're telling us they want another
Well,
40.
they had already decided, they had already started designing the sign, and
But-
that's why DDA paid some down.
Well, who is they? Let me ask, is
The
this?
ACMS,
Okay.
yeah, the
And then
company.
who is, just so I'm clear, and I may be talking out of turn here, you said that he got with her. Who is her?
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me make this more clear. Okay.
Yeah.
Janet Chumley.
Okay.
She was the Main Street manager before I came into this
Right.
position, and then she transferred to the events manager.
Right.
Well, she had been in contact with Glenn with ACSM. They're out of Charlotte, North Carolina. They won the bid back in 2017 to design and build this signage, okay? So it's Glenn. So at that time, they had started on the design, but then we had issues with two of the property owners. With those issues with those two property owners were resolved the first of this year, okay?
Okay.
Then, when I came in as Main Street manager, I started looking at the DDA, everything you're looking at, and all I see is update. So I started investigating it and contacted Glenn, started working on it again, got the property owners all situated. All 4 property owners have signed off on agreements. Everything signed off is ready to go. So then we started looking at the design, and you can blame that on me because I didn't like the design. It looked like something you'd put on a railroad track. And what the gateway signage that I see in cities nowadays are so much refreshing and just more beautiful to look at and more welcoming, and it has something to do with the history of the city. So we went back and asked them to do some markups, and they did send us in some markups. About the time they were working on these markups, the city decides to start rebranding. So the design of that sign is put on hold again for months, and it just so happened that Glenn and them had moved last year and moved all of our materials with them, even though they had started on that signage. Well, since it's been 6 years, the price it's not going to be 70-something thousand anymore. It's going up. But I brought Sarah here to talk about the money the CVB has and their, tourism. And I don't know if I'm explaining that correct with their money or not,
I
but
can understand the pricing going up, to be
Yes.
honest with you. I mean, it's time, it's
But then-
materials, but I feel kind of like Rob said, you're giving somebody a blank check for $200,000, to be honest. I mean, if you gave me $200,000 budget and said I could use it, I'm going to use $200,000.
Yep.
I
every
really
penny
am.
of it.
I mean, because, I can add this and I can add that and I could justify that old
But keep in
200,000.
mind, though, we will not we have not picked out the final design. It will not be picked out, and all systems go to where we say,
But if you sign a contract saying that you're giving them that budget,
well,
which
this
you
is,
are,
right, up
then
to, not to exceed.
not to exceed and up to, then I think whether you've created the final design or not is irrelevant. Why does this, I can see that the design might need to be more improved and maybe look better and have historical or whatever you want it to look like. I have no idea. But I can't see that it really needs to be bigger, I would see that there might be lots of ways that you could actually cut cost even though material costs have come up. We don't have the money, from what I'm seeing, for the DDA. We just don't have that kind of money in our budget. And I don't see that we have ways to raise that revenue. I know you talk about a revolving city money and whatever, but that just keeps putting you in debt. A credit card's a credit card. So I'm just saying I'm a little opposed to us signing off on this or looking at this until we have a little bit more opportunity to.
I'd definitely like to see
understand everything
the
that's going
contract.
on
Sorry,
there.
Rob, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no, I'm on that point too, and maybe it's explaining the contract. I'm lost. We went from 4 gateway signs, was my understanding,
It was-
to 9,
No,
12
this-
wayfinders and
This
9
was the
parking.
whole project at the very beginning. It's just that they were designing the gateway signs first.
So,
That's why we kept saying gateway signs. We had problems with the with 2 of the property owners.
so the wayfinder signs and the parking signs have always been a part of the
Yes, sir.
scope that the city
Yes, sir.
asked for.
We just didn't know about it.
And we're hearing about it tonight.
Whoever was in the DDA at that time, you all are new members, knew this.
Who is the owner of this project for the city? Is that the CVB? Does the CVB own this project for the city? Or do we, the DDA, own this project? Who's setting the specs and calling the shots?
Good question.
At that time, it was the Downtown Development Authority. It was presented to the DDA, and they approved it at one of their meetings. They approved the design, they approved the bid at a DDA meeting, because I've got the paperwork where they approved it, I found it, so.
In
That was-
2017, the CVB was also the DDA.
That's
They were
correct.
together.
That's
Okay.
correct.
So
The
okay.
DDA served on the CVB board. That's correct. I didn't think about that.
But that was approved at $76,000.
2017, so a few years ago is when the CVB board became separate, and they got new members on it.
So we don't get into a bind, you're talking about making it bigger in a way. What do our contracts with the property owners say about sizing? And are we going to get in a bind if we go and approve a bigger sign and?
Let's see, the measurements, I can't remember what exactly.
I would just like to make sure, and if we
Well,
need to get Mr. Mecklin involved with that, to
Norfolk
make sure
Southern,
what
we have
the,
it with Norfolk Southern, Tom Large, and Norfolk Southern's fine with it. We just renewed a lease with them. Tom Large, his property, it's a rental property.
Shouldn't those sizes be included in a contract or that?
that's what I'm concerned with.
Well,
If we get into an
okay.
issue, I would want to confirm what sizes are with the contracts with those property owners, because if we approve bigger and it's not in that, then we get in a whole nother issue.
Sizes in this contract.
Yep, let's make
But-
sure what our contract with the property owners says, would be my question to that.
I'm thinking that they're 4x4 signs.
So that's going to be an issue if we can't redesign if we already have that agreement, unless we're going to go back, chase them down, and it took how many years to get 2 signatures? So,
What was the
Does
size
the
before?
city's
Does
gateway
anybody know?
signs have to comply with the city's sign ordinance?
It's just all-
You would think so. You would think so. Yeah.
We can grant a variance if we need to, but they should comply.
So, Alyssa, what kind of deadline or dates are we working against on this contract?
I was trying to get this started this year, because it's been so long.
Okay.
And, I mean, it's just May, so we've got time. I was hoping that they could get started on it like the last quarter of the year.
Okay.
When the rebranding's finished, so we've got some time to go back. So you want the sizes in the contract? What contracts say about the sizes? We need to comply with the sign ordinance.
You know, I'd
Well,
like
And you
to-
really don't want, are you saying you don't want to sign a contract until we pick out the design and the cost? Is that what you're saying?
with Michael, I think we just need to see the
need
contract
to
of
see
what
the
we're obligating us or the city or anyone to. I don't think we need to
Yeah,
sign or
I
vote on
thought for
it.
sure I sent that
blindly.
contract to you. I guess I got sidetracked and, did not send it to you.
I think also we need to see how the money the DDA has already contributed plays into this as well.
Right.
Yeah, that,
Which is
That was
the,
gonna be my next thing, is what
Which is
monies we have,
63,500.
that we have contributed already.
Yes, and it was 76,372. So it's
Okay.
like 13,000.
But how is that relative to the 200,000 if we need to come up with another 40-something thousand dollars?
I'm not sure how they divided this up. I don't know if they just took
think-
200 and said this percentage to this one, this percentage.
I think I'm in as much shock as everybody here, but I think the 63 is just towards those 4 gateway signs. I mean, that's all we've ever talked about since I've been on the board, and that's all we've heard, so maybe
Right.
that's all the money that's there, maybe the additional,
Okay,
but
well, let me go back and get started again
Yeah.
and get
It-
this more clear.
I just
to
don't
bring it
want
back
a
to
repeat
you
of some
all.
other projects that have gone south.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do that. I'll
Can
just
we
go back
table
and get
that
started.
until next month?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That-
Because like I said,
Yeah.
My goal was just to have it
No, I mean,
started by the last
I
quarter.
want it, but I didn't know it was going to be we never knew it was that large of a project, honestly. I thought the gateway signage was separate from the Wayfair signing. So,
Okay.
all right, so if we are good with that, any other comments or questions on that? I know that's a lot we just unraveled. We'll move on down to item 6, which is elect new officers and change signatures on the checking accounts. So, you want to describe it, me?
Well, right now we have Carl Peabody, and he's getting the bank statement every month, so I'm having to call and ask him to get it to Amanda in the finance department. So with Andy stepping off, we've got 2 members coming on. We do need to elect new officers. And once we get them elected, to change the signatures on the checking account, which is with United Community Bank.
When she and I started having the conversation about getting signatures, I knew my term was coming up. I was on the fence whether I was going to apply to continue my term. So I made the decision I was going to step down, but still be on the board until we got enough positions. So I didn't think it was fair to run Rob around and everybody else trying to get signatures straightened when I'm knowingly going to only be here several more months. So I didn't want to go that route. So in that case, we've left them the same, but I do think for official purposes, we do need to make a decision on that. So with that, I would like to nominate Michael Young as our next chairman.
I'll second that. I waited to see if you were going to say anything, Michael. Yes.
If it gets me out of the secretary's job, that's a benefit.
It will get you out of the secretary job for sure, but I think you're very well qualified and you're the man to lead this board. So I would appreciate you to.
Qualified.
Just get to
Accept that.
talk to me before the board meeting, before our meeting, to find out what we need on the agenda, that's all,
That's okay.
so far.
So we've got a second. All in favor?
As long as, I didn't hear a whole lot of objection from Michael, so I was gonna raise my hand quick. I was gonna raise your hand quick, people who didn't get a chance to object.
I was watching and waited before I seconded the motion.
I appreciate that.
Congratulations, Michael. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So in that case, I guess we all need to have a roundup because do I need to be there to sign things over to them probably? Okay, so,
I don't know. We will need a copy of the minutes to take to the bank,
okay.
saying the vote, who's the chair. But what about secretary?
Well, he is the secretary and the new chair.
No, we need to vote for the secretary.
I think we should wait for Ellen and Marisol to come back.
No,
We can nominate them.
we can get Ellen to the meetings, we might talk to.
We can
Absolute.
nominate Marisol.
Yeah, I thought Marisol was going to be here tonight.
Something must have happened.
They're
Yeah, something
busy
must
next
have
door at the
happened.
restaurant. Yep,
Because she was planning on being here.
yep.
Yeah.
So we keep Rob as treasurer.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, okay.
Rob Treasurer.
I mean, Sandy, you're consistently here. I don't want to add to your plate, but do you want to take on secretary?
I am really, I'll be honest with you, I am horrible at taking notes. I listen and I talk and I'm horrible at writing things down. And so every time I've tried to be a secretary, I miss everything. So it's like, I'm
Can-
just horrible at doing it.
I understand. Can that,
Something that Barbara Daniel will
I was about to say, is that something we
Oh,
could task
yeah.
one of the new members with?
Typically, the new person gets,
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
new
nomination,
person
so.
gets to be secretary.
but we won't.
So it's chair, secretary,
Treasurer,
Is that all?
which Rob's going to remain.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We could certainly ask her if she would be willing to. I mean, in a real bad pinch, if y'all can take nasty notes or, I could do it, but I know how I am. Every time I've tried to do it, I'm like, oh, you forgot this and you
Well,
forgot
good thing
that.
about it, we're recording this. You can always go and listen to
It's
it,
true.
like we do with the council meetings.
And you're going to let us know when we all need to meet at the bank?
Yes.
Okay.
I will, well, we'll need the approved minutes. So it's gonna be like another month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Need the minutes for that.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to number 7, executive session. Do we need a motion?
I move that we move into executive session.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Thank you.
And my understanding, it's for the purpose of discussing real estate acquisition.
Yes, sir.
I always need to say the purpose.